It's your boy Young Love, Ajib Entertainment. Control leg stand, Panchi America, Banyi Dwal, Control leg stand, Panchi America, Banyi Dwal, walk on your leg, Kankaro, what on a watching, Oga leg, gear, wow, leg, Panda with ya, Panchi America, Banya Dwal, Chingatonga Pandon, could you ever buy a checker, Papu Panda Jiro, what ya be Dwal venting. Stand Panchi America, Banyi Dwal, Pancha leg stand Panchi America, Banyi Dwal, walk on your leg, Kankaro, what on a watching, Oga leg, gear, wow, leg, Panda with ya, Panchi America, Panya Dwal, Chingatonga Pandon, Kugera by a checker.
Welcome to Lagos State Media Show. Today on 5th of October 2020. We welcome Dr. Matur Gorjok and Ustaz Manyiel. Welcome to Lagos State Media Show.
Thank you. Thank you, Isaac.
All right. Before we started, we have to play a song of one of the artists of South Sudan, Franco, and or we will play Emmanuel Kembe, Arabic song, Nuna Kulu for Markab Wahid.
It's okay.
Going to the promised land.
Oh, thank you so much, Emmanuel Kembe. We will reach the promised land. Nuna Kulu from Markab Wahid. It's one of the best songs and is matching with the show of this morning, and it's night in another part of the world. First, we would like to introduce myself and the panels, my colleagues, Abraham Madit, and my colleague, Bolmaku Rajan. Dr. Matur Gorjok, you will introduce yourself to Lagos State media and the public.
Yeah, thank you, Isaac. Yeah, thank you, and good morning, or good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are, to everybody. Yeah, my name, as you have heard it, is Matur Gorjok. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll go to Ustaz Mading Wada.
Thank you very much to Lagos State Media and also the audience and the Lagos State crew, to our chairman, Dr. Matur, Brother Deng Enoch. Also, I would like to extend my greeting to all our viewers globally, those who are in different part of the world. Could be evening or morning, afternoon, wherever you are. As you heard, my name is Manyiel. Yeah, I will stop here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Ustaz Mading Wada Manyiel. Deng Enoch, introduce yourself to Lagos State team and the public as well.
Thank you. My name is Deng Enoch Manyiel, one of the Lagos State viewers. And I think I'm very pleased that to be invited by the Lagos State media to be on the panel that will ask questions to the leadership of the new.
All right, thank you so much, Deng. All right, to come to the topic, I will start with Dr. Matur, the chairman of the new party, National People's Movement. Can you explain to the viewers the meaning of the party and the objectives of the party and your vision?
Yeah, thank you, Isaac, and once again, thank you to the Lagos State Media for availing this opportunity to us so that we can express our views and interact with the public. We are so happy, and this is an opportunity. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Yeah, we hear you.
Good.
Yeah. So we really appreciate this opportunity, and we are going to discuss a few issues regarding our country. First of all, before I start on defining ourselves as the NPM, which is the new party, I would like first to, as our country is now facing this pandemic, as do the whole world. So our sympathies to our people in South Sudan, and because of this COVID-19 pandemic, our country was caught unprepared, and our people are suffering. People have died as a result of this pandemic, as is happening all over the world. So our condolences to the people who have lost their loved ones, family members, and friends. And also we pray, and our best wishes for those who are still currently infected with the disease, so for their speedy recovery. And secondly, our country as well is facing another catastrophe in regard to the flooding. The floods, our people are subjected to hardship again, and the flooding is causing a lot of mayhem, particularly in Jonglei State and other states. as well. So people are suffering a lot. People have been displaced. So our prayers and our thoughts are with them, because we know they are battling these floods with their bare hands. And while our government is a bystander, is looking at them as if the floods is happening in the neighboring country. So our sympathies are with our people in Jonglei and Upper Nile State, Lakes State, Unity State, and other states which are currently affected by the floods. So, and in that regard, I thank the international community, the UN, the NGOs, and other governments for offering help to our people in the pandemic of the COVID-19 and also during this crisis of the flooding. So we really appreciate the support to our people, and we'll never forget that.
Okay.
So coming to the NPM, so the NPM is a new political party, the National People's Movement, بالعربي الحركة الوطنية الشعبية باللغة العربية. Before I get into the details and the objectives, I just want to remind our people about the brief background, historical background of how we came about as a movement, as a political movement in our country. And maybe some people might have not heard about us, but they will hear our voices today. So historically, as you all know, this is a common knowledge. Our people went to so many wars. We've been fighting the enemy that before our independence for over 60 decades, from Anyanya 1 to the SPLA. So when our people took out to the bushes, we had the objective that we have to liberate our country, because our people were suffering, subjected to the oppression and marginalization, whether economically, politically, or socially. We couldn't tolerate it, and our people went out to the bush to fight the regimes in Khartoum. And in doing so, there were so many lives lost, over 3 million or even more. And thousands of our people were left maimed without limbs or other parts of their bodies. Massive displacement. Our people were displaced across East Africa and the rest of the world. So there was untold suffering for our people, but our people were very courageous. They fought for 21 years in the SPLA movement, and everybody contributed, like civil society, our friends, they stood with us firmly, but the brunt of the liberation fell on our brothers and sisters in the SPLA. And I will take this opportunity to salute all the SPLA members, the former SPLA members, for their courage and their suffering, because they have done a lot to our country. This is your legacy. Nobody will take it away from you, and we all respect you. And the future generation of our country will also respect you and remember you. We're so proud of you. So as the result of the war, the broken families, but our hopes were so high. Our hopes were so high that one day we will have our own country. Our own country that will belong to us. And that's why our people tolerated the suffering and so forth. So in 2005, and this is a common knowledge, as I said, And I have to come through this brief history. This is where we came about as the NPM. The CPA was born as a result of the military campaign by our brothers and sisters in the SPLA. The government was forced to the negotiating table, although it was not an outright military victory, but we were victorious because the government set us with our people, and we negotiated the CPA, and we were given that interim period of 6 years. But sadly, our great leader died 3 months after that, in July 2005, and we lost a great leader, and the current president, General Salva Kiir, took over. So the interim period, 6 years, our people were so united because we had the focus of the referendum. Our main focus was on the referendum. The government did well. We have to give credit when it is due. The current government, they did very well during the interim period, even though there were widespread corruption and the tendency for the dictatorship and unwillingness to build an institution to govern the country. But our people turned a blind eye to all of this because our focus was on the referendum, because we must have our own country. Our people were so united that there was unprecedented unity in our country. And our people voted 98.83% for the secession of our country, South Sudan. And our independence was declared in July the 9th, 2011. So that's a brief background. That's where we came, a brief history, and our people were so happy. Their dreams came true. The dream that were for every generation in our country. They couldn't realize it, but in 2011 we realized it. So, and our independence was declared. But sadly, our happiness and jubilations were short-lived. Only 2 years after the independence, our leaders in the country, particularly in the SPLM, which is the ruling party, they started wrangling over the power. And they plunged our country into a civil war, a senseless war, and a crisis of a very high magnitude. Our peoples were subjected once again to suffering, this time not by the enemy, by our own people, the government of our country. So they subjected our country to the war just because of what? Because of power. Everyone would like to be in charge, and the president would like to remain unchallenged, and the war came about so that the government can chase away their opponents so that they can have their absolute power unchecked. So that was the crisis then, and our people were displaced again. Our people went back to the refugee camps across East Africa and beyond. The country that we were so happy to be in it, once again, just 2 years, our people were chased out of the country, running for their lives and security. Some of the people went into the protection camps, they call it UNAMIS camps, inside our own country, including the capital city, Juba, where our own people are there under the UN protection. And guess what? Protection from whom? From their own government. which is a chain. Your people are being protected by an international organization from you as the authority of the country. So, and the conditions got worse. No services because there was no development. And I mentioned during the 6 years, nothing much was done. And again, 2 years after the independence, the same. No schools, no proper schools, no hospitals, no roads. Our people were left the same. It could even be worse from when we were back in Sudan. And the worst of all, the hatred among our people. The hatred, our people are divided, polarized along their tribal lines. And even the war that broke out on power, it was turned into a tribal war between the Dinka and Nuer, which is a shame as well. So many people died. It is estimated to be over 400,000 of people died because of that war and the war-related disasters like disease and hunger. So this is our own making, because previously we used to blame the Arabs and the governments in the north that they are the people oppressing us. But this time, nobody to blame. It is ourselves. So hatred is the max in our country. Our people are polarized, and our country is at war. The IGAD, the Troika, they did their best by bringing the warring parties together, and the peace was negotiated, the peace was signed and then violated, and another war broke out in 2016, and so many lives were lost as well. So that's the scenario in our country. Currently, there is a peace, the peace that was signed in Addis, the peace they agreed on it in Khartoum and then was moved to be signed in Addis, 2018. And up to now, 2 years, almost 2 years down the track, or 2 years exactly, the war partners are still wrangling over positions. It has nothing to do with the public. Even the war itself, it has nothing to do with the public. The public are suffering and nobody cares about them. Up to now, the governors are appointed, but the government are not established. Why? Because we want these positions, we want this number of positions, we want this, and this is our situation. And there is a possibility, God forbid, and there's another war might break out. God forbid anyway, because we're against any violence or wars. So this is the situation. The SPLM, we were so proud of the SPLM. Myself, I'm a committed and die-hard member of the SPLM since day one, since the inception. So we were left bewildering what is happening in our country. Our party has been failed by a few individuals. They failed us. They failed the party and they failed our country. So what is next? So people came about to think, how can we get out of this mess, of this crisis? People took over arms and they went to the bush like Dr. Riek Machar did. And what happened? It was a loss of lives. Innocent civilians, they died. So the options is here that change must come in our country. Change must come to our country. But how can we make that happen? There are two options. We can either stage a rebellion like Dr. Riek did, and violence. We can take out the bush, or by peaceful means. These are two things. And we had to sit down as concerned citizens of our country to evaluate the situation and figure out exactly what we can do. And we came to a conclusion that violence is not an option. Why? Because violence can only produce violence. If you take out of the bush, you will be faced by violence, and the people who will die on both sides are our people. South Sudanese people, they're not foreigners. So, and even during the fighting, the principles will remain in Juba untouched. And this happened in the last war. With their heavy security and protection, it will not touch them. But our people, innocent people, will die. And war will increase hatred among our people and will widen divisions among our people. Because there would be deaths and people would hate themselves. And also, if we were able to change the government by force, this will set a very bad precedent to the future generations in our country, that the only means to change the government in South Sudan is by force. And you know the mentality of our people. You can take over today, but the government that has been chased out of the government will go to the bush, because the bush belongs to everybody. And they will fight back to retake the power. And that one will be ousted, and the other one will go to the bush, and the cycle will be endless. Because a bad precedent has been set. So that's why we said no, that's not the right option. Though it's possible, but it can invite a lot of problems. So the only rightful the channel is by peaceful means. And other people might think this is ridiculous or this is weird. How come you remove a dictator, a military dictator in Africa by peaceful means? It is possible. It is possible. What we mean by peaceful means, we mean elections. Because we have to set examples for our future generations. You contest for power with your programs, and the people will elect you. So this government, we know, would not be sincere for the fair and transparent elections. That's a given. But the international community must be involved, so that the elections are internationally monitored and supervised, and our people will elect their own leaders. Our people are not stupid. They will elect the rightful leaders because they know what happened in the country. So that's an option, and it is a possible option, and we can go that way. The other option, if the government becomes so stubborn and is resisting elections, which they do in some parts of Africa, there is a popular revolution. A popular revolution could bring about a peaceful change as well. And we have seen this in the neighboring Sudan, where a dictator, Omar Bashir, for 30 years was ousted by just peaceful means. It happened in Egypt and elsewhere. That's a last resort if our government becomes stubborn to commit to fair and transparent elections. That's another possibility. Our people could go that way. So as a result, we moved out of the SPLM. As I mentioned earlier, most of us, or even all of us in the NPM, were committed and diehard members of the SPLM. But our party has been hijacked by the enemies, and the SPLM has been destroyed from within. So it doesn't look like the SPLM of the Dr. John, that we were so proud of it. The SPLM that liberated our country. This is a different SPLM. So that's why it does not belong to us. We our own ways, how we can get out of this crisis. And that's how the NPM came about. And we opted for the peaceful approach, which is a peaceful movement. We're against violence or rebellion, because, as I said, we'll set a bad precedent to our future generations and will further divide our country. So, and what are you thinking of a political organization? You need to identify the problems, because you have to reach correct diagnosis of the ailment so that you can prescribe the right prescription for it. So our problems, we identified our problems, and along them came our objectives. So the problems are the issues of poor governance, lack of democracy, disunity among our people, because our country is divided at present. The lack of the rule of law and insecurity. Tribalism is one of our problems. Lack of services. We don't have proper services, education, healthcare, and so on. Poverty is one of our problems, and illiteracy. These are our main problems, among others.
Okay.
So to come up with a political organization, we must address each and every of these problems so that you can articulate what you're going to do to your people. So the NPM, the National People's Movement, stands for the following. Number one, we need peace in our country. War must stop. And in doing so, this war, the parties of this war must be held accountable. And that accountability can come in different forms. Like in South Africa, it was done through something called truth and reconciliation, or through people being to confessing and recognizing and reconciling, so that the wounds are closed and people come together. And therefore there's going to be peace. Because you cannot have peace with hatred among each other in the country, and you cannot have peace when there is a war. And when the war is ended, you must hold the people accountable. Insecurity in our country must be addressed. If you go to South Sudan, guns and arms are everywhere, and this is not safe for our country and the security. We cannot do anything with a situation like that. There must be disarmament all over the country, not an opposite or patchy disarmament like is being done now, which usually lead to confrontation between the government and the civilians. It must be a government. Our people must commit, and the government in Juba must commit to a program of disarmament. It's very important because arms and guns everywhere is a national security threat to our country. It must be addressed head on, because guns now causing wars, inter and intra-communal fights, and people are dying in hundreds and thousands. So that has to be addressed. The rule of law, professional policing, and army. The army that belongs to the country, not a militia-oriented army. The army that belongs to the people, that protects the borders and territories of the country and protect the constitution. An army that must not be affiliated to any political movement or party, and the police and other armed organizations that will maintain the security in our country, because without security we cannot develop our country, we cannot do anything. So this is a top priority. In a country to be stable, security must be maintained, and to maintain security you must have professional army, professional policing, and security apparatus that protects the people, not against the people. Second, democracy must be introduced. Multi-party democracy, where our people will set up their own parties, they present their programs to the people, and the people will choose. We usually tell ourselves, oh, this is not possible in Africa, this is not possible in South Sudan. Why not? It is possible. It is possible. We can do this. And this will further bring peace, because nobody will be fighting over government. You cannot rebel, you cannot go to the bush so that you can fight back to take over the country or the power. So this is essential. The democracy, good governance. And by saying good governance is where there must be a constitution, and a constitution, our people will sit down in a constitutional conference where we will draft our permanent constitution for generations for now and generations to come. Separation of powers, so that the executive is the executive, legislation, and judiciary. These are possible. We can do this. Tribalism must be eradicated in our country, and unity must be achieved. Unity is not just a word. Unity is a thing. You have to work for unity. What you do, what you say, your laws, and there must be representative of everybody in the country. That country does not belong to a certain tribe or tribes. It belongs to every South Sudanese. So that's why we must fight tribalism, because we're in the 21st century. We shouldn't, as this state, be still talking of tribes. But we can do it. We can do it with a responsible leadership in Juba that representing everybody and that knows how to bring about unity, not just talking about it. We have to work for it. Poverty in our country must be eradicated. Our people are suffering. If you go to the villages, you will cry. That's unacceptable. This is not the country our people died for. This is not the country our people fought for.
All right.
So people are suffering in the countryside and even in the cities, even if you go to Juba. And by doing this, we must have a strong economy. Agricultural revolution, and we get use of the livestock. We've got millions of the livestock, but we're not getting use of it. This is a wealth. Instead of depending on oil only, we can diversify our economy. Yeah, and I will leave that to our colleague Meding, who is our Secretary for Political Affairs, to talk about this later.
Okay, thank you so much. You have
so to wind up. Sorry, Isaac.
Go ahead.
Another problem, the literacy. Our people must be educated, and that could start from building proper schools, introducing a quality education to our children, because to have a viable country, you must invest into your younger generations. We can do this. So that's an adult education as well. We can do it. So we must eradicate illiteracy. It sounds like unachievable, but these are achievable things. If we consider our efforts, our minds, we put our minds together, we can do this. So we must base the foreign policy that's balance, where we respect our friends. There are friends that stood with us firmly during the struggle. And then they say, a friend in need, when we were in need, is a friend indeed. We should not forget that, because we have friends that we should build proper relations with them because of what they did to us. We cannot forget about them. We need to bring a development to this country by building roads, schools, hospitals, so that we can provide a quality health care to our people, which must be free, and as well as education must be free. We can do this. Our country is so wealthy, but we're not getting use of it because we're stuck with this gossiping, hatred among each other, and then fighting over power. But this is a very wealthy country. We can go very, very far.
Okay.
So finally, this is the challenge of to bring about change in our country is a challenge of our generation once again. Our people have been subjected throughout history to challenges, but we prevailed. In the Nyanya one, our people prevailed. In the SPLA, we prevailed. We have our own country. This is a challenge within our own borders, a challenge from our people. The people that forgot their own people and they have taken our country hostage. This is a challenge of our time, and I think together we can succeed. And our enemies are now so happy because our country is divided and is at war. Because they've been saying this during the struggle, that these people, they cannot govern themselves. So we want to prove them wrong, that we are so capable to run our own affairs, provided a responsible leadership. We might be failed today because of this government, because we are let down by our own government. But tomorrow we are not going to fight. Our enemies should know that. So our people should not lose hope across our country. We have not forgotten them. We know their suffering. And my final words will go to our people that they think themselves are forgotten. Our people in the refugee camps, whether you are in Kakuma or somewhere in Uganda or elsewhere in East Africa, in Sudan or in Egypt, we know your suffering. Your suffering is our suffering. Your pain is our pain. Please do not lose hope. And the same to people back home. We have not forgotten about you. It's just a matter of time. We will bring back our country and we will develop this country, the country that our people died for. We will achieve our goals and our people will enjoy the dividends of our liberation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for good elaboration. You have explained it very well. Is the party registered? If yes, are you operating within South Sudan? Do you have an office in South Sudan? If no, then why?
Yes, that's a very good question. Our party is not registered yet, but we are hoping that we register our party. As you know, our country now is the political activism is restricted, and we have seen some activists. They're being jailed, they're being punished. Why? Because they are speaking out against the government. That's why this peace must be maintained. We must urge the government, particularly the international community, the GATT, because these are the people who sponsor the peace, so that there is freedom of expression and freedom of organizations, and then we can register our party. We do have members in Juba and across other states. They are actively working. We are in communications with them, but the registration will come when the security situation is conducive. But that should not hold us back. We can organize wherever we are. We can bring our people together, and then we will go in for sure. So the registration is on the way. That's a target, but not now.
Okay, I will leave the floor to the rest of the panels to ask their questions. Abraham.
Okay. Thank you, Isaac. Isaac, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Matur, and welcome to Let's Stay Media. Thank you for coming in today. We are so glad that you came and we hear you, your vision and vision statement for your party. So, as you know that South Sudan has as I know that South Sudan have like more than 20 parties they registered already in South Sudan, apart from most of the parties that are based outside within the country. And you see already one of my colleagues already asking those questions about if your party registered, and you answered that. So I want to move on to as you lay out a good vision of an objective of your party. And as we know that the situation in South Sudan right now, the atmosphere of the country, as you mentioned before about the insecurity, is not stable. And South Sudan is not yet a democracy country that can allow or give other parties a freedom of movement or a freedom of express. And also, the country is governed by the military. It's not a civilian government. So the question here has you. I want you to elaborate more about, is it your party? You said that it's not just in South Sudan, and also too, you said that you have some of the members, your members based in South Sudan, but they are still working on ground. Do you have a military wing?
Of course,
my
no.
question is, do you have a military wing in South Sudan?
Have you finished?
Yep.
Okay. Of course, no.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think during my elaboration earlier,
Okay.
I mentioned it clearly that we are a non-violent political movement. And if we are a non-violent political movement, we should not have a military wing then. So we don't have any military wing. This is not a military organization, it's a political organization, purely political organization, which is peaceful. So there's no any military wing attached to our party. And we're against any form of violence. Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. And also too, my next question is regarding about your party now is based outside country, South Sudan. What can you do with your team to let the government of South Sudan recognize you as a political party in South Sudan?
Yeah, look, as I mentioned, that we need a space for freedom in the country. That is good. Maybe the parties that are registered in Juba, they are operating within their little means, and they don't speak that much against the government. But for us, we need a real change. And the real change will not come unless we figure out, we point out the problems and how we can address them. And by doing so, criticism will come. And if they don't tolerate criticism, that's why we are out. But look, it might be only the leadership that's out, but most of our members are back in South Sudan. And we're operating, and you could see even in the different countries where the revolution succeeded, they were not organized inside the country, they were organized outside. Because here we have freedom to move, we have freedom to express ourselves without any hindrance, and as said, we can bring about change. So it's a matter of time, and we will go to Juba when the security situation is conducive. And it is our right as South Sudanese people or individuals to form our own political organization and register it. It is our own right. Nobody can prevent us doing so. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. As you see that, as you mentioned, that there are some challenges on the way for those political parties in South Sudan. If you are political, you have a political party, you have challenges in the country. So how can you achieve your goal or accomplish your objective? Because the party, it will be function more if you are on the ground in South Sudan, so that you can mobilize, that you have campaigning, and then let the citizen know who you are and what your objective, and people will, when the time of the election come and your party is in ballot box, the citizen can go and vote. Like as we have remained less than a year and a half for the election go in. So if you have that vision that your party can be a part of the a political party that will be on the ballot box, or you won't run for the president for the next year. So what can your party can do to accomplish those goals and objectives that you lay out when you have your mission statement?
That's right. And again, as I said, as a political party, we have a vision, political movement. And our aim is to register, and it will happen. And also, by being a political activist or political organization, there are risks associated with it. We know this, and we are ready to take up the challenges. And we have to face this regime in Juba. And we must work with other parties, with other opposition groups. And that's why we need the unity of all the opposition groups. The opposition groups must come together so that we can work together and force this government to call for an election that must be internationally supervised. And registration, we can do it anytime. We are ready to go. Not because we're scared of the security, but the risk for some of our members. That's why we are holding back. But we will be there. Not only us, the whole opposition. We will go to Juba. We will organize our parties, and then registration will follow. And then if there is an election, whoever would like to contest would be welcome. But this is something that our people will tolerate, particularly the government, because they have this mindset of dictatorship. But we are ready to take up the challenge, and that's why we openly come out. We are expressing our views without any fear, and we must face the challenge because this is our country. This country does not belong to the few; it belongs to all of us.
Lueron, kadang unmute Abra.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Matur. I will, so much you answer my question. I will get back the floor to Isaac.
All right, thank you so much, Abraham. Board Makur, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Isaac. I'm at work. If you see any interruption, you can mute me. If you see me moving, you can mute me, and after I solve the problem, then I come back. It is just 1 second or 2 seconds solve my problem, then I come back. But thank you for giving me this chance to ask the founder of the people. Is it People National Movement?
Yeah.
National People's Movement, NPM.
And yes, and I welcome you very well, Dr. Matur, to Lake State Media. I also welcome Mr. Manyiel to Lake State Media and all your panel. You said, okay, it is the right of the people to overthrow their government if the government threatens the safety of the people without cause. It's their right, When the government threatens the people or intimidate them without cause, it is the right of the people within that country to overthrow the government. But my question is, because you said that your movement is by peaceful means, because South Sudanese people have suffered a lot through joining butches and launch wars against each other, which is Dinka, Nuer, Equatorian, like that, back-to-back tribes. So I'm asking you, if you think going to butches is the problem, and you said your party will bring good government to people of South Sudan without any problem, why don't you join SOMA? Because they are now discussing to come together and come to South Sudan and join the government and solve any problem internally, and register their parties internally, and they will wait for the election, and then whoever will not win the election will will be going, and then somebody who win the election will take over the country. Why don't you join them for now? Because you don't need to go to the bush to bring another war to Junubin. I can see the problem of registered is not a problem because Soma even is not registered. Really, SPLM is not registered. So I don't see if registration is the case. But I suggest that why don't you join Soma for now and go to Rome and you be included, and you can voice your concern about the suffering of your people, because I see you don't want to fight, but your company or your movement can join someone later. If they go to Juba, you go to Juba, and you can go register your company.
Yeah, that's right.
Why
That's
don't
a
you do
good
that?
question, Bob. Look, he's right. SOMA is an opposition group. We would share so many ideas, standpoints with them. So yeah, you are rightfully said that we should be part of them. That's right. Now, as the movement, the NPM, we have initiated contacts with the SOMA leadership. That's right. We are in contacts currently with some of the SOMA leaders, and to do exactly what you are saying. Because we need, and I mentioned it in my presentation earlier, we need all the opposition groups to come together. Because we cannot do it separately. Our aim is to change the government, and we cannot operate separately. We have to unite our ranks, and we come together. So we are in the process of that, and it will be realized, hopefully.
Thank you. I am at work, and because I am at work, I will not have the right question, because this video will be reviewed in future. And if, and I can even say it's a term which is not political correct. See, because when I was asking you a question, I was just putting a random terms which is not political correct. So I want to limit myself, and I want to give floor to other
Thank you
members.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Emmanuel Wani, welcome to Lagos State Media. I need you to show your face.
Yeah, I had no power in my house today. I'm in the refugee camp, so I'm in a black place. So even if I mute it, it's gonna not be easy for me to be seen.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I apologize for that.
It's all right, Abuna. You can go ahead, ask your question to chairman of a new party, Dr. Matur, and the General Secretary, Manyiel.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to greet each and everybody, my grandfathers, my fathers, the people who have carried out the vision of the nation of South Sudan. I know we are all your children, and I'm not going to take much of my time. I greet you all in the name of Jesus, and it's all a struggle for our nation to see that we need to be back home. My first question goes to Doctor, that as we have seen, there are many political parties that are in the country of South Sudan, and they are not even addressing our own suffering as a South Sudanese in the country. Will this creating of these political parties, are they going to resolve the situation or the suffering of the South Sudanese that are going through? That is question number one. Question number two, we have seen there are many political parties that have been in Juba since I was in Juba in 2007 until today. The parties are always appearing when they know that there is a share that the government is going to give out. But after getting the share from the government, in the end of the day, there is nothing that is happening. And the civilian, especially the people who are the most people are going to suffer in the end of the day, they are pushed out from the country. So why I'm asking this question, because we have many political parties. I don't want to enter to the names and all that, but we are in the refugee camp since 2013. In all these political parties that are there, our South Sudanese are still suffering. You run away from the nation of South Sudan so that you cannot be killed. And then you run also to Uganda to the refugee camp. You are also killed. For how long will this party take? Or how many years will this party take us back home? Because now when you look from 2013, I speak to myself since 2013 until today, we are in the refugee camp. Our children cannot go to school. Our women are even killed when they're going to collect firewood. Even in the camp, the host communities in Uganda are not happy when they see you have Indak Tobolia Suker, Alibigaita Taban Tamas and Belet, Taindo Tobolia de Saker, and Bisado Yaltaki, Bisado Bed, but that day they will also attack you, you will be killed. And in all this is going through, we have the political party. We have now, as we had this, there is a group in Rome that talking about the peace. I believe why can this same political party also join those people in talks? Because we as a South Sudanese, we are born, some of us, we are born in the refugee camp, raised up in the refugee camp, study in the refugee camp. And then when we return back to our home, especially me, I went back home in 2006 and thinking our own children that we are going to give back to, these children are going to study back home. And then they are going to enjoy the fruit of their land. And then back, we are pushed back to the country, to the refugee camp, and our children are under this. So if in all these political parties that we are seeing, and then they are not bringing hope to us, they go there, the best thing they can offer us, when they go to dialogue with the government, because he's given position, they forget about the people, forget about their own people. We have seen many parties coming out. So as the best they can offer to us is for them to join the government that they even criticize. And then when they go there, they go in the name of Sanas, Muatanita, Juno Sudan, they are suffering, Nabam Shimiten Fibet, Nader Nasta, Nader Kerija Fibet. In the few days, in few years, you find them, they have joined the government and we are abandoned back in the refugee camp. That is question number 2. What do you do to make sure that you give us this time a hope that you, after getting that there is a position, you defect to the government and leave us suffering? That is my question to you guys. Look at the future of the South Sudan. Do not look at the future of your political party or the new party that you have come out with it. Because in the end of the day, we are seeing people that is good, that are helping us. That is the question that as to question. The last is this. The last is this. It's not a question, but I want to put this open and clear. We are seeing you as we are the South Sudanese in the refugee camps. We are seeing you people, and we are seeing who is carrying the vision. Remember that the innocent children that are supposed to be doctors tomorrow in the nation of South Sudan, like you people, they don't have no school. They are now on the ground. The rain is hitting them. Even like Pimahalat, Uganda, especially in Morobi, in Palarinya settlement, in Moyo, which is currently Lobongi, the rain will rain and carry all the beds and everything, the houses, and even the children will be taken away with the water. And these are supposed to be the leaders of tomorrow in the nation of South Sudan. We have currently 5 vice presidents in the government of South Sudan, and we are not seeing anything that is giving us a hope to return back home. We left ourselves in the hands of God. Let God take care of us. He brought us in this country. If He chooses to take care of us, He will take care of us. If He chooses to return us back home, like we went back in 2006, back home, he will also take us back home. This is the only hope we have put ourselves in the hands of God. Because in this COVID, some of you have been listening, the kilos of maize or the kilo of beans, you are given now 6 kilograms. 6 kilograms as a South Sudanese in the refugee camp. You are given 6 kilograms for 1 month. For 1 month. Are you people really? Do you believe that are we suffering? Do you really believe of taking us back home? So these are other things that you people should look at. It's not a matter of having political parties and that the political party does not address the root causes of the nation, of the suffering of South Sudanese. People are carried with the flooding in Upper Nile, everywhere. So I have no more questions, but these are a few things that I want to analyze. We pray to God, if this new party has come to deliver out to take us back home, for us the South Sudanese to see light in our country. For how long? We have slept in the carpet for 7 years. So I have no words. God bless you guys.
Thank you very much, Wani.
You want me to come here? Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, the Reverend Emmanuel Wani, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm so happy to hear your voice from the refugee camps. And you might have heard earlier, during my presentation, I mentioned the refugee camps because we think about you. We are so concerned about you. If the government is not caring about you, we the people, we your brothers and sisters, will think about you. So don't lose hope. We are here. Your brothers, your sisters, your sons, your daughters, we are here. And we are so vigilant that our people are suffering. We are so we know you're suffering. And as the Albanese refugees come, في Uganda, في Kenya, في Ethiopia, في Khartoum, وكل المحلات. We know this. And it pains us. It pains me a lot. And look, this is the good news. Look, we are completely different. And take my word from today. We are not after positions. We have never been to this government. And we are not going to join them sooner or later. And take this from me. We are here for a change. Status quo is unsustainable. We cannot run the country that way. We are not looking for positions. And that's why maybe the contrast between us and other opposition or the parties in Juba. If it is a matter of employment, we are working and we thank God for that. We don't want anything from the government. We don't want anything from them. We are independent. But our hearts are with the people, our suffering people. And we are ready to sacrifice for them. Because this is a country that came out of blood. And we cannot come and run it that way. So we are not looking for shares in the government. Even if we join SOMA, we will never be part of this government. We are going to register. We are going to mobilize our people for change. There must be radical change in this country to go forward. We must stop the suffering of our people. So that's why we need to commit ourselves for this mission and this vision, so that our people can understand that the NPM is standing beside them wherever they are in their villages in South Sudan, where there is no anything, whether in the refugees camps, where they're being humiliated, in the streets everywhere, we are with you. So that's a promise for me. This party is unique. We are in it for a revolution to change our country.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Matur.
Thank you. Isaac, can I come a little bit to Wani? Pastor Wani, you touch my heart. This will be a general comment about the life experience that as a former refugees, I was in your shoes before. I was in Kakuma refugees camp for almost 10 years, say 1992 to 2001. I grew up in refugees camp. So I feel you. I feel your pain, and I know what you're going through. But when you mentioned about 6 kilograms, I recall when I was in Kakuma refugees camp, we give this food, little bit food that we have, and this food can run out before a month, before 15 days, and the rest of 15 days we will go without food until we eat. So I can imagine in my head when you say about that and how are you doing right now in this camp, because I was there and I was in it, and I grew up in this camp, and this is what we do it here in Lakeside Media when we got to air out our opinion and to come up to see our voices. We heard the government of South Sudan to hear our voices like you, Emmanuel, because they know that the war cannot solve or end the suffering of our people, which is camp and within the country. So we need peace. And that's why we are supporting all the opposition movement and government so that they can silence the gun and reach the solution of peace so that our people in the refugees camp across the country, nearest the country that's close to us, go back home. Because our generation, Emmanuel, our generation, like my generation I'm in, we are a generation of refugees camp, and we don't want our children to be grow up in refugees camp, like you mentioned before, because we need our children to go back home so that they know that they are not the refugees children. They have their own country where they come from. So, and it's really good that I just want to put that one in, so because this is emotion to me, because I was in his shoes before. So and the rest of our colleagues, because most of the legislative media staff here, they are former refugees. We know that here how the life is in this camp. So I thank you, Emmanuel. I pray for you and all the refugees across the country and all the people who are within the country and across the border. God will bring peace and our people will go back home. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Abraham. There are some few questions people put across here. I would like to tell all our viewers, it will be your turn. If you can just type your question down here, and it will be displayed. Just make it a bit brief, like not to be a very big paragraph. It will fill up the whole screen and make it a good question, short and brief. Ustaz Mading, will be your turn to drop in also a part of economic, which is your part of career as well, because now the country economic is collapsing. Dollars has the marketing are not work not going well. Dollar has destroyed the country. So, Fadal, welcome.
Thank you very much, Isaac. I salute our chairman, Dr. Matur, for your elaboration, and also our viewers wherever they are, and also your questions you ask. I'm going to talk about Dr. Matur have put it before. We in National People Movement, we have a vision. We have a vision. That's why we came up with this party. We are people movement. We are not seeking positions. As Dr. put it, most of us and our cadre, we are happy with what we earn and what we got. And if it is a matter of getting your ticket and go to Cuba and join the government, we would have done it a long time ago. But that's not our aim. Our aim is one to bring a real change to our people. It sounds difficult, it sounds maybe silly to some or awkward, but it's the reality. Because all the means are there, and we believe in our people, the people of South Sudan. The people of South Sudan, they stand up in 1955, again also the Nyanya 2 and the SPLA, and they fought the wage war and they achieved there, and so forth. Even during British time and Turkish and all. I'll go directly to the issue of poverty. What the cause of poverty, which will bring into the economy? We have a vision about the economy of that country. What we miss and why today we are in this economic mess. Economic is not just you study theories and just you want to implement them in a different environment, culturally, politically, socially, and all aspects. You need to identify what are your problems. I'm not going to bring Adam Smith's theory of economy after or John Locke theory of economy after Industrial Revolution in the West. That type of theories, they address their own problems, they identify their own economic problems. But the wrong things and the wrong concept always we committed. We just go and import economic theories and we want to implement it, which led to economic disasters within Africa and particularly in South Sudan. You need to, economic is a science of creativity. You need to create, to be creative and come up with ideas where really you can have a solution to your own people, to your own economic situation. What we lack in South Sudan is the economic vision. When we talk about we are open market economy, what type of market economy you are? Because the open market economy, there are schools, a school in it. French have their own, American have their own, British have their own, Australian have, Canadian they have, Japanese, Korean, South Koreans, Malaysian, all they have their own economy. They have their own school of economy, of free market economy. Which type of free market economy you want to implement in South Sudan, where you don't have even economic infrastructure? What do you mean by economic infrastructure? Where the modern economy is being established and start running. You don't have roads, you don't have projects, you don't have everything, and you want to implement an economy which is really not addressing the issues of your own people. That led to disaster, economic disaster today, because the type of Western version of economy which they want to be imposed on our people, they abandoned it in the West 200 years ago because it didn't work for them. They left that economy, which we want to implement today, which is the core cause of all these issues. South Sudan is a country with 7 agricultural systems, which is very few countries in the world, they have that. We have the 7 zones, 7 agro zones, which is really we can feed the world because we have everything. Second thing, when you come to this economy and what is happening now in our country in South Sudan, there is a mix-up of issues. There is no identification being put in place. There is a corruption, but the main important thing in South Sudan, which we are facing today, is distribution of wealth. There is misdistribution of wealth in the country. What we mean by distribution of wealth is how all South Sudanese can enjoy this wealth in terms of services, which is roads, agriculture, investment, health system, education, not just education, quality education, environment, sanitation, and all this. We don't have any policies related to all these proper policies in place. We fail also to identify what are national resources in South Sudan. Most and the majority of South Sudanese, when we talk about national resources, they refer back to oil. Oil is a tiny thing in South Sudan, which we can add as one of the national resources. But the most important national resources in the country is human resources. We fail to develop these human resources. We create wars. We do not benefit from these human resources rather than killing them, for them to run away to refugees camp. Some are inside in displaced areas within the country. Some are abandoned. Hundreds or even not thousands of graduates are just roaming around in the street of Juba with unemployment because there is no any capacity for the government to create job opportunities to the young people and qualified people. The government tends to be the only source of employment, which is totally wrong. The government role is to create job opportunities by providing projects and infrastructure to allow the investors to come and to invest in the country. But always they talk about insecurity, which is part of the truth. Before they used to tell us because those of Iowa are fighting and all, we can't have security. They signed peace agreements several times. And today, where is our dollar? They fail to address these issues. When we talk about the human resources, the most important thing also we don't utilize at the moment is the land. Most people in South Sudan, they don't know the land is a national resource. Abandoning this land and unutilization of this land is a waste of national resource. We must use this land to maximum in agriculture. We have so many things within the country which can improve our economy, and we have a vision on that. Environment, we don't talk about environment. You can't have a sustainable agriculture or economic without environmental issues are addressed. And we have seen the impact of oil to our people in Unity State and in Northern Upper Nile. How did the oil companies really ignore the environment? And this is going to affect our environment, our ecological, and our people for hundreds of years and generations to come. The other aspect is the dubious loans, which are today our country is indulged. We don't know these loans, what are the terms and conditions. Neither the generation will know. They are going to pay from their pocket for the loan, really, which they didn't know what has been done with this money which has been borrowed. Some of these loans gone to the pocket of individuals. You can't take loan without any project which are going to be done. And the shameful one of these things was the loan which has been abandoned, the road, which is the Bargaza road, which has been abandoned, based on what? Based on the fact that the agreement which was being signed is totally dubious. and no any clause of this didn't go through the channel, the proper channel, for any financial or any project signing agreements. This affect our wealth, affect our country, made us poor, return us back to poverty, and we will be cycling this poverty. That's why we have a vision, a national people movement. We have a lot of measures to be implemented economically. If we, the people of South Sudan, give us the trust, we need a trust from them, we will come up with the economic policies which will suit them. Economic is not like just you go to the market, you choose any gamise or pantalon and just you wear it. You need to tailor it according to your size and your future and your way of thinking. One question also which was being raised, I will answer that question on behalf of Dr. Matur, which is from one of the viewers, the relation between us and other groups which are fighting the government. We respect them. We respect all the opposition parties, regardless inside the country or outside the country, because there's no any opposition fight another opposition. That's a point. We are in dialogues. We are in talks with them. They have their own way of thinking. Some they carry arms, which we really tell them we are non-violent, but we respect them. At the end, what we need is peace for our people, people of South Sudan. We are in dialogue with all other political parties, regardless whether they're in Sawa or outside Sawa. We are committed to talk about peace and reconciliation within that country, and we'll continue to do that. We don't brand anybody. You are for separation or you're fighting for what? That's their agenda. And if they bring it up to us, we will sit down, listen to them, we'll discuss with them, and we'll talk about what are the benefit of having a united South Sudan. I will stop here. That was a little thing which I would like to contribute. If there is some question later on, our chairman, Dr. Matur, referred to me, I will be in a position to answer. Also, anything related to economic or vision, I'll be in a position also to answer any question. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, Ustaz Mading Wada Manyiel. One more question for either Dr. Matur to elaborate with the question of before I have phrased for him. Is regarding 10 state reinstatation, the SPLM party reinstated 10 state back with the 3 administrative areas. You have already answered part of patriotism of Equatorian. They need to separate. What is your take or your side in 10 states? Or we have more states and 3 administrative areas? Oh, sorry.
In our country is something that we need to have a look at it and analyze it better. When the movement started in 1983, one of the reasons, and our late chairman, Dr. John, usually used to mention it, is the division of the region of South Sudan into 3 regions. That was one of our objectives, of our reasons to go to the bush, because our people wanted unity. And the country was divided by Nimer into 3 regions, only 3 regions. So, and Dr. John used to say this in his rallies, and this is one of our properties. What is the irony here is when we came back in 2005, the country was already divided into 10 states by the government in Khartoum. This should have been one of our main things, and this is one of the points I differed with our members in the SPLM in opinion regarding the CPA. because we were objecting the 3 regions in the first place. Now you come and there are 10. Why you accepted it? Otherwise, you're contradicting yourself. We must be logical. If we say this is wrong, it's wrong. And I think we were in a position, we were well positioned then to force the government to accept what we, to give us back South Sudan as an entity. And then we, the people of South Sudan, will come and sit down. And then we can divide ourselves according to our administrative areas as we want. We want 3 regions, we want 10 states, 5 states, what number you name it. It must come from our people, not imposed by Khartoum like they did with the 3 regions or 10 states, and not imposed by even our government here in Juba, again, further divided 32 or how much I can't even remember. So this must be left to the people of the country to say their opinion. What we need is this. We are against imposing things on our people because our people know how they can live together, and our people have been living together for centuries. What is new in the last 10 or 15 years? There must be something wrong. That's how people are dividing themselves. That our people are hating themselves. So this should be left. I'm not for 3 regions, I'm not for 10 regions, I'm not for anything, but it must be left for the people of South Sudan to decide. And I think they can sit down and talk about it, whether it's a federalism, whether it's something that our people will be happy with, not something imposed by the government or whoever.
Okay. All right. How about the issue of ABA?
Yeah, the issue of ABA is so vital to the existence of our country. And I think that's one of the few points I should mention in our objectives, and it is there. People can can see our manifesto. It's mentioned, ABA is mentioned by name. Because as a country up to now, I think we are one of the few countries all over the world without defined borders. The northern border is not demarcated yet because of the reluctance of our government is engaged with wars, with how to maintain their power, and they forgot about everything. And we're losing parts of our country bit by bit. Whether to what country, that's not right. The issue for BA would have been handled differently and rightfully. Because the people of BA are our brothers and sisters, and they belong to South Sudan. Something is unquestionable. There is an agreement, there is a protocol in the agreement, CPA, that should have been respected. And it is their right to vote. Like what they did in last time, they voted to join their brothers and sisters in South Sudan. What our government did, our government turned it down. No, who told you to go and vote, and who told? That's irresponsibility. If you are a leader of a country, and our people, you must look after each and every one of your people. You cannot ignore part of your people and say, this. That's not right. If we are to wage a war in South Sudan, the first war would be on ABA, not on power. Because this issue must be solved, and rightfully solved. We are not warmongers. We respect our neighbors, and we have good relations. We should have good relations with them. But there is something called, this is a territorial importance for our country. We have to respect it, and it is the duty of a government, any government in charge, to take over the issue, not leave it for the people of Abia. You can't leave an issue like Abia issue to the people of Abia. Why? This is the national issue. This must be addressed by the government. And all the people of South Sudan, we must be on the standby, because this is an important issue and it must be solved. And also other areas, the borders, whether they are for the northern Sudan, or with Uganda, or with Kenya. Territorial integrity of our country must be respected by our neighbors, and our relations must be based on that.
Okay.
Okay. It's my turn, Isaac.
Yeah, it's your turn, and Mading Ustaz has a question to answer here. Somebody is asking the members of the party. Is it do you have members from different regions, or only? That is the question.
Thank you very much, Isaac, and also my thanks to brother who asked this question. It's a valid question, really. It's look strange sometimes to see people from one region who are really there on the media talking about the national party, which is some may really surprise what's going on. Yeah, I would like to clarify. I think first of all, we are not really kind of a party that look into people, where you came from, what's your background, and all. We believe that we are the South Sudanese, and we are working any task being assigned to you. You need to fulfill that. When I become a secretary of foreign relations, I was elected or selected by the members of the party to play this role. The same thing with the chairman, Dr. Matur. We have our Secretary General, who is from Equatoria. He's not with us today here because he's traveling at the moment somewhere, and he cannot join us because he's driving. And that's why, and I hope one day we will see that our Secretary General, who was one of the people who should be here and was the one that should have to introduce Dr. Matur to the audience. He's not here, he's from Equatoria. We have people from Greater Upper Nile, Greater Equatoria, Greater Barghazal, different parts. That's why we are a national party. We are not just a regional party or representing only a particular. But if you want to contact us, you contact us. We'll refer you to Secretary General, or you can ask him any question, because it's a whole point of this party, and it's accessible. You can reach him anytime. And he is a South Sudanese from Equatoria. That's what I want to confirm. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Abraham.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ustaz Mading and Dr. Matur. I have two questions. And one question, I don't know, both of you can answer. Two questions, both of you can answer. And the first question I want to talk about, because it's a little bit closer to that question that has been asked about if you have other people from out of South Sudan in your party. Anyway, have you guys can, for the last month and few days ago, we had a few individuals from these few individuals, they are from Victorian community. Last month, there is a smaller group of these people, they want to watch Indonesia. They were doing protests, and they went and step on the flag, South Sudan flag. And one of them, they banned the flag last month, and he banned the flag again 2 days ago. So my question to you, to your party, are you guys are not supporting South Sudan flag? Is South Sudan the flag that you guys organize that that flag has a national flag for South Sudan, or you guys are not representing that flag?
That's is it your question is one or two parts? Did I miss that?
Those are the two. Those are, I explain what happened, and then the question come afterwards.
The question after.
Yeah.
I think Dr. Matur will answer that question, but I was following that. I will talk about it later also, but Dr. Matur can answer it, but I can elaborate more about that because I have been following what is happening really.
Yeah.
But Dr. you can answer the question.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Look, we as a political movement, we are not questioning our being as a country. That's out of question. We believe that we are South Sudanese. We are so proud to be South Sudanese. We are so happy to have an independent state with our own flag. We respect whatever belongs to the country of South Sudan, because this is a flag our people died for. We respect the entities and everything for South Sudan, but we differ with the government, the way they run the country. But as people, as part of our community, we respect everything in South Sudan, including the flag.
Okay. I will add a little about that. Yeah, I will add a little about that. Yeah. I have seen the banning of flag of South Sudan in USA, particularly by some individuals or person who have done it twice. Again, see, we are a political body, and this is a behavior of individuals. We discuss issues mainly when the political entity came up with any offending things related to our nation. We address them directly because they are responsible and they should respect the flag of the country or whatever the resources of the country or the symbols of the country. But these individuals, they are citizens of other countries, and they are operating outside the country, in those countries. If they are in South Sudan and they do that, I think there will be a law which should be implemented on them. And if they are doing, for example, like in USA, I personally look into it. The American government can allow its own citizen to ban the flag of another country. Diplomatically, it's not something suitable. Our embassy should, the South Sudan embassy in Washington should carry this issue with counterpart of what is happening. If something happened in South Sudan, a citizen of South Sudan in Juba start to ban the US flag for any reason, political or whatever, I'm sure the American government will take this. But this will take us to the bottom line that we have a very weak government, which really cannot even be respected by others, cannot be respected by dual citizens of that nature, and they can behave like that. But it's sad, and this reflects the frustration of people, some people in South Sudan. And when you are pushed, people behave like that. But that's not the best behavior, because banning the flag, that will not change anything on the ground. We need to come up with a vision and come up all of us. And we identify where the problem is. It's not the banning of the flag. It's just to instigate the people and also go on the same tribal line. And I have seen a debate floor up, and people were really talking about issues which are really which are contrary to what is going on. And people were bogged down while the ban the flag. That is, from my point of view, they divert the people's attention to unnecessary issues and left the issues of real people suffering, people in refugees camp, people in displaced area, people who are scattered all over the world, people who are suffering from poverty and diseases in South Sudan, and people are really concentrating on who banned the flag and who is not going to ban the flag and all. It's condemned. It's not something good to ban the flag. But these are not the necessities of the people of South Sudan at this stage. We have very important issues now facing our nation. This is the little thing which I would like just to contribute on it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Welcome to Lagos State Media, Dr. Deng Ding. I think we were having we have exhausted some questions and we left with a few minutes to wind down the interview. Dr. Deng Ding, if you have a question, you can just go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, first of all, Isaac, thank you for giving me a chance to ask questions. Thank you, viewers of Late Media, and thank you, the host, and then also thank you so much also for coming to the show, the guest, Dr. Matur and Madin. I believe you are the core founders of the movement that I've seen on the screen. Mine will start with a little bit comments about my experience about South Sudanese politicians. We, as a country that is new, and it's a new country that born with so many problems that are quite difficult to handle. Forming a party is a legitimate process of every citizen in any country. It is not a crime to form a party. It is always something you can start as an organization and make people believe in your principles, the principles that you form that party. But one thing that makes it quite difficult for South Sudanese, somebody like me, to understand the formation of the parties in South Sudan are not violent. They don't have production. It's all about just creating it and then presuming it, but it doesn't really produce anything. Now, my question to all of you, it might have been asked already, but I don't want to take you back. If that question I'm going to ask has already been answered, please don't answer it, because I don't want time consumption. And if it's not answered, first of all, the term movement is quite challenging to be explained, because when you use the term movement and you are a party, that means you are still in the process of liberating citizens from something, and that's quite discouraging. Number two, parties that are from outside of the country, they're always not seen as a true party for the people, because the true party for the people has to be formed within the country through the process, through legitimate constitution, so that people can build trust through that way. But if a party is from outside, I think it's always brings some doubts and some challenges and makes them not legitimate. On the other point, when you form a party, and I truly believe that having seen you as members of your party, and this is the challenge to all politicians in South Sudan. Whenever they form party, a party is largely supported by a tribe from which that person that initiated parties come from. And that kind of party is very dangerous. This is the kind of parties that don't really bring people together. Okay, for example, as Dr. Matur is a Dinka, if I'm not wrong by name, being a chairman of that party. And we are already being divided up by tribes. I'm sure now it's very hard for you to get a Nuer guy to form your party. And if you get that person, it's not going to be working well with you, having given these political divisions and tribal acts. At the same time, it is going to be very difficult for you also to find a guy from Equatoria, even if you have one. It might be someone that will not motivate people to join your party. Here you have a political hardship to bring up your party. As a party members, how would you recruit people to join your party, to make a real party? To me now it's not a party, it's just like a joke, because we have 29 parties in South Sudan. Some are dying. Most of them are from outside of the country. Some don't have support. They're there just because the title of the party, but they're not. So how would you make your party become strong in terms of diversity, not to be termed as Dinka party or individual party? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have to come in, Isaac. Yeah, I thank Dr. Deng very, very much for his questions and comments as well. Look, he raised some very important points, and we need to address them. The first, we call our party a movement, like the National People's Movement. That's a legitimate question, and we heard it before, but this is our answer. In South Sudan, look, our people, our mindset has become a big problem, because we came out of wars, from war to war, and anything mentioned to be a movement is a military, which is not right. A movement could be anything: a cultural movement, a political movement, a peaceful movement, a agricultural movement. A movement could be anything, you name it. People should not be scared of hearing a movement, and then they say, the war is going to break out. That's not right. That mindset, we have to change it. So when we call ourselves movement, this is a political movement. And we define it as a political movement which is peaceful, no military. So this should be understandable, and this is what we stand for. So he's right, the doctor is right, Dr. Deng, but that's our mindset. It's not him alone, but so many of our people across our nation. But we are a peaceful political movement, and we are against any form of violence. That's number one. The other thing to his comments, the tribalism, or being, when you are seen as from a certain area, the party will be labeled. That mentality is there as well. But we as individuals, we term ourselves as nationalists. We are not tribalists. We are against anything tribal. Of course, you could be from anybody. Nobody in South Sudan is not from anywhere. You must come from somewhere. But that does not mean whatever you do belongs to that part of the country or community. No, it's not. The SPLM came about. There was started only few people, but it became a national movement, inclusive of everybody. And that's why we were in the SPLM, because SPLM is an inclusive party movement. The same mentality, we are an inclusive movement party. We are against any form of tribalism. And that's why we make sure when you're joining the NPM, you come and abide by the terms of our party. It's non-tribal, it's a national movement, and we're against any tribalist tendencies. They are not acceptable to us. Being from outside makes you illegitimate. It's not right. because you are a South Sudanese wherever you are, and you could do anything you want everywhere, every corner of the world. But the main thing, because the change will come inside South Sudan, that's why we have to move down to South Sudan. And that's why we have members across South Sudan, because that's where we want the change to happen. But it could be formed from anywhere. So, and it may, as long as we are South Sudanese, we believe in our country, we are nationalists, we are not going to divide our people, we can form party from anywhere. So the Dr. Deng is right, so that it could be seen that way, the other part I mentioned, but we are not tribalist. Our party is inclusive. We do have members from all 3 regions of South Sudan, and we are going to recruit more, because the movement or a political party must be representative of everybody. We must represent everybody. If you come in with ideas of tribalism you are not welcome into this. This is the national movement. We're against any form of tribalism. There is another thing. One of I've seen one of the questions there. I'm not reading them all because I'm busy with focusing on talking. But I saw something. One mentioned something about the flag and logo. Can the party have a different flag? What we have is not a flag. We are proud South Sudanese, and we respect our flag. Our flag is hosted in Juba and across our nation, and we are so proud of it. What we do have is a logo. Just to identify us, it's just a logo. But the flag of South Sudan is one. With a party, we cannot have a flag. What do we want with the flag? This is just a logo so that we are identified. When it's seen, this is the NPM. So another thing, I saw one of the questions about someone was talking about ignoring the liberators. We will never, and we will not ignore anybody in South Sudan. And I mentioned it in my presentation. We are so proud of our brothers and sisters in the SPLM for what they did for our country and to our people. If we do not respect them, how on earth our people? The people that do not respect their veterans are doomed to failure. We respect them. We know that they are suffering now because they're being marginalized as well. The country has been taken over by a few. And even the SPLM cadres, the people who really work for this country, they are not even getting their salaries. They are suffering. So we cannot ignore them, we respect them, and their legacy will remain, not only now, but for generations to come, for what they did for country and for people. The other thing, if I'm offered a position, and I think we came across it earlier, and in Juba, can I abandon the party and run to Juba? It's not right. And I mentioned it earlier. We have never been to this government. Not because we are unable to. We can do it easily, years ago. But the trajectory of the country is not encouraging. That's why we kept our distance from this. The trajectory is not right. Trajectory is not right. We will never be called to Juba to join them. We would have come long ago. But we are in it for change. Change must come to this country because this is a country our people died for. Our people suffered a lot and they continue to suffer, and we cannot run it that way. We offer a completely different vision, the vision of inclusivity. Everybody must be included. Everybody must be respected. Nobody came by chance to South Sudan. It's all God willing that we are there as tribes and communities and as a nation. And our people have been living together for centuries. I mentioned it earlier. So we must protect our people. We must ensure unity is there and development so that we change our livelihood. When we fought, it was not only for the land. The land is one of the things, but the other issue was the livelihood, because our people are illiterate, are poor. We cannot just leave them that way. Nothing changed now. If you see things like 20 or 30 years ago, it's the same in South Sudan. Nothing is changing. The whole country, the whole world is moving forward, and we are moving backwards. It's unacceptable. We cannot let that one happen. We must challenge the status quo by peaceful means, and we must bring change. It's difficult, but we can do it if we are united as people of this country.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Matur, and thank you, Dr. Deng, for the question.
One question, yeah.
Deng Kamis, welcome to Lagos State Media. It seems like Dr. Deng, you need to say something.
Yeah, I have a very small comment in addition to Dr. answer. First of all, for the party to operate, it has to follow the constitution of the country. And I pick it from your answer that as a South Sudanese, you can form a party anywhere. Given the fact that in any country you are, there will never be a party that form outside of the country you live. So for a party to be formed, to be legitimate, to operate in the country, you have to follow the constitutional rights, where you have to be registered to legitimate party so that you operate in the country. But seeing that you actually form your party outside of the country, then it's not legitimate. Would you take your party to be registered in Juba so that it becomes a legitimate party? And if not, then it is not a party. That is a movement. The second, the term movement is not a mindset. Something is wrong.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. The term movement is not a mindset as you define. It is not a matter that people have a. Thank you. It is not a matter that people have a mindset of the movement. That is totally wrong. I disagree with you with that. Yes, a movement could be anything. A movement could be even, you can even name a shop as a movement. But at any different angles, when it is actually connected with the party, then it has a different definition. So with your party being a party outside of the country, and you are possible to make changes in the country, then you have to follow the law. And if you don't follow the constitutional right of the country, then how would you make changes? So your party has to be registered. And when it's registered, you have your legitimate reason or legitimate functions to do them in the country. But seeing that you are actually operating outside the country, and now you have people operating within the country in South Sudan, which is not legitimate, not registered party, are you going to make the change that way? You are even against the Constitution. So this is just a comment I want to make. You don't have to answer it. But in really sense, if you want your party to be a legitimate party, go to Juba, register it, call for your members, and then make changes. But if you are doing outside, then you're actually making movement against the country. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Look, partly you might be correct. Look, when you form something outside the borders of your country, people sometimes might look at it, as you put it, in a strange way. That's why this and why this happened. But the main thing is the vision, and you are right. We must register to be legitimate in South Sudan to practice politics, and that's our mission. We have to do it, and I think this is one of the reasons we put our name as movement for now, because we know with the current situation in our country, the political space is very narrow, but we have to move. We have to move and organize our people through a movement until we get registered, and then people could come and sit down. And then you name it. If you want to change your name, if you want to. But currently, we are a movement to mobilize our people, to enlighten them of their rights. That the government does not belong to the elites only. The government belongs to the people. And it is their right. They question the government, and it is their right to change the government. We must enlighten our people through work, concerted work, which must be peaceful. We're against any violence. And our people will listen. And they are listening now to us in South Sudan and across the globe. Because we're genuine and we are telling the facts. We are not against the Mr. President or who because of what or because of him, because of what is taking place. There's no vision. The country is being run by decrees which are not studied properly, and our country is a mess. War is everywhere, guns everywhere. Our people are killing themselves and they're dying in thousands and thousands. As responsible citizens, we cannot sit back and watch. We cannot. Even though we feel comfortable outside and you working and you live with your family, that's not the only thing we could do. We were put to school not only for ourselves, but for our people. We cannot just watch our people suffering while we enjoy lives wherever we are. It's wrong. We must our voices must be heard. We must point out the wrongs in the country, and they must be fixed. It is our responsibility as responsible citizens of this country. And it is our duty. We cannot let it to anybody. Nobody will come from anywhere to change our country. UN will not come and fix it. America will not come. Nobody will come. It is we, the people of this country. We must take the courage and challenge the status quo. This country must be on the right track. We can do it if we organize ourselves and if we are united. Unity is essential. Our people must be united. This policy of divide or rule must go. We cannot live in a country where our people are polarized. It's not acceptable. This country belongs to everybody. Whether you're a bigger tribes or minor tribes or whatsoever, you must be a proud South Sudanese. This is the land of your ancestors, and you must be respected. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Then Kamis, what
Yes,
State Media, if you have a question, I think you came late. If you have been following up the presentation of Dr. Matur and Ustaz Mading Wada, then you just drop in your questions. We left with 15 minutes and we will be closing the show.
okay. Thank you, Isaac, and everybody, all of you. Yes, when you start the show, I've been up and on watching the show. I'm at work, actually. So, and I've been listening. I made some presentation, and by the way, there's a lot of questions that have actually been asked, and they answering it back. So, thank you for coming to Lagos State Media and myself too. It's good to have new faces sometime to learn what our people actually are doing in the background. So nobody know what you're doing there at the backyard by yourself. But when you come to the light, everybody will start to be aware that there's something going on. So I have I have congratulations. First of all, that's what I can say. I'm sorry, I'm trying to forget. Congratulations for your new party. Even though it's not a registered party, and when it's going to be registered, and all those kind of stuff, only what we can put in place for the first of all is just to recognize somebody's wedding that you're trying to do something. Every human being has a failure. You can fail later on the way, or you can succeed. That's the future that will determine that. But I have to say congratulations first. I have two questions for you, for your party, particularly my brother Mading. I actually missed his position, but I heard the Dr. Matur is the one, is the founder of the party. But I miss Brother Meding's position. He's going to elaborate it later on.
Yeah, he's a secretary for political affairs.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So I have a question for your party. My question is actually, what is your position about, what is your party position about the Korokoro that is taking place right now in South Sudan related to land grabbing? Dinka occupied Equatorian, and Dinka is not wanted to be there, and also regarding the cattle being in Equatorian land. And that's one of my question to you. What is your party position about the Korokora that is come up again? And the second question is, are you supporting social media revolution? Those are my two questions.
Okay.
Maybe you want to come in first?
Yeah. Okay. One of you.
No, I want to answer. I want to answer first question which was been put there, and but you will answer his question, because there is one very important question which have been put on the screen by one of the viewers, which I would like really to answer. It's about federalism. It's a very crucial question. I think Dr. Matur, the chairman of this movement or party, elaborate much about that. Our stand related to federalism, or 10 state, or 32 state, or 64 states, for example, if that one the people wants. Our stand is very clear. We in National People Movement, we believe in democracy and inclusiveness. We are welcoming all the views and different ideas.
Very good.
We sit,
I'm just starting out here. You already here?
We sit down. There is interruption there.
Yeah. Can you mute? Go ahead.
Can you mute? Yeah. And what we are trying to do, we have a dialogue, internal dialogue within our party, with different people from different regions within the South Sudan. And also we have a dialogue with other parties. We have different agendas and different views. And all these views are tabled to the people of South Sudan to determine what type of the government they wanted. Is it federalism? Is it 10 state? Is it 32 state? Is it 64 state? Is it non-state government? That is one of the main things why we are a democratic party. We include all the ideas and we sit down. We don't impose our ideas on the people, but we need to listen to the people. We are here to listen to the people of South Sudan and what they want really. Amicably, we have to reach a solution. We come up with the system which is sustainable economically, socially, culturally, and unity as the paramount for the people of South Sudan. That's related to federalism. We are not against any idea in our party, but we are open to discuss all the ideas, regardless it's positive or negative. But as a political idea, you need to convince the people of South Sudan. You need to convince us, why do you think this is the best way the country should be governed? This is what I would like just to answer. The rest of the questions, I think Dr. Matur will answer them. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Look, the other gentleman mentioned something to do with that the party belongs to me. I think that's not right. The founders were many. I'm not the only founder. There were so many, and I came about to be the chairperson. The consensus from my colleagues. So this is the founders were so many. It's not me alone. So the movement does not belong to me as a person. It belongs to the people of South Sudan, and their sons sat down, some of their community members sat down, they brainstormed, and they came up with the idea. And I was one of them. So it does not belong to me, it belongs to us. The issue of land grabbing he was talking about. Look, this is a real issue. And in our manifesto, we mention it by name. Because I mentioned it earlier, when you need to address issue, you must identify it so that you can prescribe the right medicine for that ailment. This is one of the problems. In our constitution, transitional constitution of South Sudan, the lands belongs to the communities. And that must be respected because it is in the constitution of the country. And it is against the law to grab somebody's land. You must be held accountable. You must be taken to court, and the judgment will come out. So this is the constitution of South Sudan. It's not something out from out of the blue. It's in the constitution. So the land grabbing issues is a real issue. It's causing a lot of discontent, and it must be resolved. And it must be resolved in accordance with the constitution, unless the constitution is changed. But for now, this is what it is. It's a real problem, and it must be addressed. You cannot turn a blind eye that there is no land grabbing. It's there. And people are suffering because of that. And other people, they've given themselves the entitlement over everybody, that they can do whatever they like. They can grab land from anybody as they wish or they like. That's not right. We must respect everybody. Everybody's lands must be respected. If you buy this is your land, yep, you produce your documents. But land grabbing is against the law. And this is a constitutional issue. And law must be applicable on that. It is a real problem. But it's solvable. If we are really focusing and we are following the law, it must stop. Second thing is social media revolution. Look, with the advent of social media, a lot of things have changed, not only in South Sudan, but all over the world. You cannot deny the usefulness of social media. It's useful for mobilization, because what you need is...
Okay, I found this on the web for useful for mobilizing.
Sorry. So if as an organization, what is sort of organization? And what you need is communication. If you have a platform to communicate with your people to preach your ideas, why not you use it? You use it for your advantage, but you don't misuse it. That's the wrong thing. We must use the social media in the right way to communicate between each other, and not for any other purpose. So Yeah, the social media is there, and if you call it revolution, it's not revolution only in South Sudan, it's across the globe, and it's there to stay.
Thank you. All right. Abram, Madid, and Bol Makur, if you guys have any question or anything to say, you can go ahead now. Otherwise, we can give our guest 2 minutes each for closing remarks.
Yeah, let Bol go ahead if you have question. I have one last question I can ask for the guests.
Thank you, Isaac, and everybody on the Lake State Media Show. I don't have any question. Like I said before, I have so many concentration here and there, and I don't want to say anything politically incorrect. So I will thank DR Matur for coming to Lake State and Medin, Dinkamis, and other people who left like and other friends. And our viewers are very important. Thank you. And people who made comments on Lake State Media, thank you too. Have a good day.
Thank you, Bol, and make sure they don't allow anybody to go on camera. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, let him go. Okay, so this should be the last one. It will not be a question, but it will be a general statement. But I want Dr. Matur and Ustaz Meding to make a comment, because this is important, because this issue has been transpiring in social media for 5 few days. There is an incident happened in Egypt, in Cairo, Egypt. So I hope most of us saw that video for the young girl.
Sexual harassment, yeah.
Sexual harassment. But the young, there were a group of Egyptian youth who were sexual harassment on the street. And I learned, I don't know if I'm correct, I'm not sure, I'm not 100% sure if that young girl has been murdered. So, and this is not only the incident is happening in Egypt. Our people in Egypt are suffering so much. We hear a lot, people are dying. If somebody is sick and you go to hospital, and then it will come out, or she will not come out, he will not come out alive. And I hear a lot of South Sudanese are very concerned that the government of South Sudan embassy in Egypt are not doing enough, are not doing nothing to address the issues. My question is, can you guys talk more about this, because this is a message that we also need to come together and condemn this issue, but it's painful that our people are dying in Egypt, which is, and the government, we need to send our message to an embassy so that these people their voice should be heard. What happening, our people are mistreated by Egyptian people is not right thing to do, and we need to condemn it. So Dr. Matur and Ustaz Medin, can you guys comment about this issue going on in Egypt? Thank you.
Yeah, I think I will excuse Dr. Matur. I will go first in this, if it's possible, Dr. Matur.
Yeah, go first.
Okay. See, thank you very much for bringing up this thing. I've been following in social media this issue of harassment of some South Sudanese in Egypt. It's the suffering of our people in Egypt did not start from today. There's so many incidences happening in Egypt due to the lack of the responsibility from our government, and also due to the complexity of the situation. In Egypt, we have two groups of people. We have refugees, which are registered refugees under UNHCR, and by the United Nations law, any refugee in any territory of any country, accepting them to be registered as bona fide refugees, the UNHCR should take responsibility of those people, and the host country should protect the life of those people. This is very clear clause in United Nations laws and regulations related to refugees. Although They are refugees still as South Sudanese. Our government have moral responsibility to protect life of everyone, any individual, South Sudanese, wherever he resides all over the world. The weakness of the embassy in Cairo should not be blamed only on the embassy or the staff which are there. Your internal politics is a part of the extension of your international politics. It is the country. When you have a strong country with a strong vision, with strong policies internationally, you will be respected as a country. Your citizens, they will be respected. But in a situation where a country abandons its own people inside the country and outside the country, we don't expect anything much from the current regime in Juba to bring any change or to protect the life of South Sudanese wherever all over the world, as long as it fails to protect the life of individuals and innocent people within the country and all the people of South Sudan that are subjected to oppression, to killing, to mistreatment. What do we ask? We ask the Egyptian government through international bodies like UNHCR. UNHCR should take responsibility to protect those South Sudanese who are residing in Egypt, who are beneficial refugees. If Egypt is not responsible or doesn't need these people, it should be responsible to UNHCR to look any other alternative, any other host countries for these citizens to go there. We in the National People Movement, one of our main objectives is to bring back our people who are refugees all over the world, particularly those who are around in Africa, around South Sudan. It is the responsibility of us to bring them back to our country through cooperation with international bodies, create atmosphere, create security, create job opportunities for them as one of our priorities to bring them back and give them opportunity to live in their own country as the first citizen, respected with dignity and vision. I will condemn what has happened as person. Is not acceptable for any South Sudanese, not only in Egypt, wherever they are, to be subjected to any oppression or any bullying or any killing or any raping or what for any reason. That's unacceptable. And Egypt government should be held accountable and responsible for the deed of the citizen, his own citizen, against the citizen that you embrace them and you give them shelter in your own country. And that's the responsibility of Egyptian government with United Nations UNHCR to take measures to protect the life of innocent people in Egypt. This is my conclusion in regard to harassment and mistreatment of our citizens. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Ustaz Madin. Dr. Matur?
Yeah, I'll come and answer that point, and then I'll come later for a closing statement.
Okay.
Yeah, Madin, you put it rightly, and I completely agree with you. This is an outrageous event, and we condemn it in the strongest terms possible. And look, our people are really suffering. This is a big issue. And this is one of the things that motivated us to come up with this idea. Our people are suffering. In Egypt, you name it. And the Reverend was talking from the refugee camp area. They're suffering everywhere. They are being looked down by other people. They are being humiliated. These are our people. So that's why we need peace in our country. That's why we need peace so our people can go back to their own land, where there is nobody to ask them or harass them. So, and that's the prime duty of any government. The prime duty of any government is to protect the life and properties of your citizens. But if you does not care about the lives of your people, so what are you doing? So that's why we need change in our country. We need peace so that our people could come back. But while they are there, it is the responsibility, as Medin put it, of the Egyptian government and the United Nations, UNHCR. They must protect our citizens. They are there for a purpose because they don't have somewhere to go back. They are displaced not by choice, but by force. They are looking for somewhere to live in peace. So please, it is your duty as a country, and Egypt government, and the United Nations to protect our citizens. We urge them to do that, and in failing to do so, we condemn them. Because refugees in your own borders is the responsibility of that particular country and the United Nations agencies. They must protect our people. And regarding that family, we are sympathize with them. Our hearts and our prayers to them go out to them. And we hope that something bad like this would never happen again. But our people must be respected by the Egyptians, by whoever, Kenyans or Ugandans. And I heard a few days ago there was a killing in somewhere in Uganda, refugee camp as well. The same scenarios. This is unacceptable. People cannot be things, toys. People are playing with our people everywhere. It's not acceptable. We are human beings. We deserve better lives. As South Sudanese, we deserve better lives. And that's why we've come up with this idea. We must take on the challenge. The status quo is unsustainable. We cannot leave refugees for the rest of our lives. People were born in refugee camps. How long are they going to be there? It's not acceptable. So, yeah, so we condemn that incident, and we urge them to protect our people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. We are coming to closing part. We'll be giving 2 minutes each our guest to greet and give a closing remarks to our audience, and we will stop the show from there. I will start with Ustaz. The protocol will go, and we will end up with Dr. Matur. Ustaz Madin, the floor is yours for 2 minutes.
It will be less than 2 minutes because we have taken a lot of time, and also we have to respect our viewers. Those people who wake up early and those people who are really still now watching us, although it's very late. I would like to thank everyone. This was a question which is put up there. I will apologize to that person who asked that question, who is the vice chairman. We are not here really to declare our office. So you can contact us privately if you need really to know more about us. Our website is there, and other things you can know about our movement. We're just talking generally about the policies. That's the thing. I will thank Lake Media for the opportunity which has been granted to us today and tonight somewhere. And I will wish you always to be partial, to be neutral, and keep your job up. We will stand with any media, free media in the country. And one of our objectives is to promote the media and to develop the media in South Sudan, because media is the essential part of democracy and transparency in any country to develop. Thank you very much. Thank you again to Dr. Matur, to all of you, Madid, wherever you are in USA. Also, that's great to be with us for whole, it could be the night now. Those people who are here in Australia and other parts of the world, I hope one day also we'll meet again in anything related to politics. I'm one of the participants always in your Lakes media, but I participate in different capacities. But today I was just representing my political ideas, and these political ideas are not going to influence Lake media. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your opportunity. God bless you all. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ustaz. Go next to Dr. Matur.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Isaac, and thank you, Nadik. Thank you, Lake State Media, for hosting us. It has been a great interaction to exchange views and to know our standpoints, where we stand as a political organization. We are really very thankful for that. So, but finally, to the people of our nation, the people of South Sudan, we know our people are suffering everywhere, in every corner of the country, inside South Sudan and outside our borders. Some people are in the UNMISS camps inside our own country. We want them to be hopeful that their brothers and sisters, their daughters and sons are not silent. And they know the condition they are in. And that's why we are speaking up, we are organizing ourselves. This country must be changed. Change must come to that country. Because that's the only way we can stop the suffering of our people. The NPM here is representing everybody. We are a non-tribal organization. We are against any tribal ideas. We are a national movement. We are an inclusive movement. You are welcome anytime to join our political movement, because this is meant for you. Change. We are not looking for positions in the government. We are not looking for favors. We are looking for change, because we feel that the pain of our people. It hurts me when I see my people suffering. It pains me, and I cannot keep quiet. We have to do something for this, but in the peaceful means. Violence will not serve anybody. Violence can invite more violence to our people. So we discourage tribalism. There are few among us who are tribalists, don't care about them. We focus as a nationalist, as a South Sudanese, as a proud South Sudanese. Don't listen to them. This is your country, and this country belongs to everybody. So that's why we are there, the NPM, the National People's Movement, and Haraka al-Wataniya Sha'bi. My last point is to the social media, including you, the latest state media, and other social media outlets for South Sudan. I would suggest that you take up an initiative. And I mentioned earlier, there is flooding in our country, and our people are suffering, particularly in Jonglei State and other neighboring states. We cannot expect our people, we cannot depend on charities, while we, the citizens, watch our brothers and sisters suffer. So I want you, the media outlets of South Sudan, to take this over. By creating accounts, the FundMe accounts, and everybody would pay $5 or $10. How many of us in America, in Canada, in Australia, in Europe? We need to help our people. We cannot expect help from anybody. We have to put in the little we have. If we take it up as a political party, or it would be wrong, because we don't want to politicize the suffering of our people. This issue should be taken up by the social media outlets, which are independent like you. It should be taken up by the community organizations and churches, South Sudanese churches across the world. Please help our people. Please contribute whatever little you have. $5, $10. It will make a difference. So, and these funds, when they are collected, they could be sent to community organizations, the other organization, not the government, because we don't trust the government. We send it through the channel of civil societies, communities, so that we help our people. This is my last message, and the suggestion to you, the social media, church leaders, community leaders, please take up this one, and may God bless our people wherever they are, and may God bless South Sudan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Matur Gorjok. Abraham, do you have any word?
I just want to say thank you, Dr. Matur and Ustaz Meding, for coming to Lagos State Media. We appreciate for being with us this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Then Kamis, we have come to closure.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate your time, Madid and Isaac. It's not an easy job to do, so you always put time on, and Bormaukur and Agar. So I would always say, you guys keep it up. You are opening the door to our communities. The changes are just on the way. We don't see it, but one day it will happen. So thank you, my brothers, Dr. Matur and Meding, Manyiel. Yeah, let's keep moving. Let's keep it on. Only my advice is anything to do with movement, that scare us out all the time, because we came from the movement. So I hope it's not going to involve any violence, as you said, and the vision is always there. I myself, I do not have problem with anybody creating his own party. That's how democratic process works. It's only what you need is to register, try to have your process and register in the country, and try to be to balance your party.
Yeah, I think it's closing. I think when they put their closing statement, we should from there.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I love one thing that you would take with you. Always keep it up there. Don't leave it, because since you start speaking, you kept saying, "We, us, we, us." That's what. That's only what I heard. That's what I was actually being focused on it, because a lot of parties, they always come with I did. So thank you. Keep that word. And God bless all of us. We will meet again. Maybe sometime when you have time, we will come and talk more about your party in the future. Thank you. God bless all of you.
Thank you guys for coming in, and appreciate your time here. We wish you all the best and good luck for your party, and God bless you all. We catch up again. Thank you.
It's your boy Young Love, Ajib Entertainment. Pancho Lake stand and Panchi America. Banyi Dwala Banaban. Pancho Lake stand and Panchi America. Banyi Dwala Banaban. Walk on your leg, Kankara, what on a watching. Oga leg, gear, power, leg. Panda with ya, Panchi America. Banyi Dwala Bana. Chingatonga Pandon could you ever buy a checker? Patu Panda Jiro, what ya be Dwala Venting. stand Panchi America, Panji Dwal, Panapan Pantaleg stand Panchi America, Panji Dwal, Panapan walk on the lake, Kankaro, Watana watching, Oga level leg, Gear Pow, leg, Panda with Yae, Panchi America, Panya Dwal, Chingatongo, Pandon,